Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Justin Wolf from Wolf Customs. So today I want to introduce a new concept to you guys. Now before I introduce this concept, right out of the gate I want to tell you I am not in any way, shape, or form trying to change anybody's views on how they look at things or telling you that one thing is better than another, because that is absolutely not what this video is. And if anybody wants to try to start a debate based on this video, you can forget it. I'm not going to engage, because that's not what this video is all about. So open your mind and open your ears, because again, not a debate. So here is the concept. When we talk about our knives and everything along those lines, for example, this is my EDC. This is my Razorback. Now this particular knife I made in 1095 carbon steel, which obviously means that it will hold an edge decently well. It will hone up very nicely. I can throw sparks with a piece of flint very easily. Problem is with carbon steel is, let's say right now it's snow and it's also sleeting right now. So if I take and I go out on an extended camp with this knife right here, right now, in these elements, I'm going to have problem with corrosion or rusting. If I was to take this knife, drop it in the snow, pick it up, put it in my sheath, go do my own thing for a couple hours, pull it out, there's going to be some sort of corrosion on the blade. That's just the facts of it. There are obviously ways that we can get around that. This particular knife has patinaed over, so this one is less susceptible to doing that, but it still will do it. Patina is not a cure-all. Does that make that particular knife useless in these elements? Absolutely not. That is not at all what I'm saying. But what if this is our conditions all the time? Because right now, where I live, these conditions don't last all the time, so most of the time we can get away with nice carbon blades. But what if we lived in an area, okay, what if we were a fisherman and we spent the majority of our time on the water? We would probably want something in a stainless variety, which is fine. But here's the thing with stainless. Stainless, just like carbon, will hold an excellent edge. An excellent edge. There are some stainless steels out there that just get wicked razor sharp. Will hold that edge just as long as carbon, and some of them will hone up just as easy as carbon. So carbon blades cut, stainless steel blades cut. Carbon blades, we can have a nice sharp spine. Stainless steel, we can have a nice sharp spine, so both can throw sparks with the ferro rod. Some of the more popular stainless steel knives, like Moras and things along those lines, come with a rounded spine, so we have to modify them in order to make them, compatible with a ferro rod. Now, what is it that stainless won't do? Well, most of the stainless will not throw a spark off of a piece of flint, which in a lot of people's eyes is a necessity when it comes to an outdoor knife. And I can understand that. It's one of those situations where if you're having to rely on your knife to be a flint and steel, you've done it wrong, you've already messed up, and you're already in a lot of trouble, plain and simple. But I can definitely understand why some people would really want to have that ability. So here's a new concept for you. This particular sheath and setup I have designed for wet weather conditions. Okay, is what we have here is we have a Kydex sheath. Now, why did I go with Kydex? Well, because Kydex, it doesn't soak up the water, okay, like leather does. So we don't have to worry about that. I've actually got a drain hole on the back side of the Kydex as well for water to drain out of if it gets submerged or anything along those lines. The back is made out of leather, and the reason that I did that is because my biggest complaint with Kydex is it's uncomfortable. Well, if I put a nice flexible leather backer on it, now it rides comfortable like it would with a leather sheath. It also rides a little bit lower than most Kydex sheaths. Most Kydex sheaths stick up, and the handle will poke you in the ribs and everything if you twist and move just wrong. This sits down just a little bit lower so you don't have that uncomfortable feeling. Now, in this particular sheath, I have went with a stainless steel Mora Companion, and the reason I did that is because I can take this, drop it right down here in the snow, just like that, pick this knife up, shake it off, maybe wipe it off onto my clothes, it doesn't matter, put it back into the sheath, wet, just like that. I can walk away for a couple hours, come back, pull this knife back out, and it's going to be just fine. There's going to be no corrosion or anything along those lines. Some people might say, well, it's going to freeze in here. It's not. They will freeze and they will bind in Kydex, but it's not as severe as a lot of people think. Now, what's the downside to this blade? Well, the downside to this blade here is the fact that the spine is not sharp. Okay, so I cannot throw sparks with the spine of this knife. I'd be forced to use the blade of my knife, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, people really frown upon others doing that, but this knife blade is way harder than your ferro rod, so it does not dull your blade as much as what people think it does. But again, I can definitely see why people would rather have a sharp spine versus using the blade. So another thing with this knife is the fact that we cannot throw sparks off the spine of this with a piece of flint if we wanted to. So now comes in the second part of this sheath. This sheath, I have put a hammer forged flint striker, or excuse me, a steel striker right here. This is a steel striker that I made, and like I said, it's hand forged. Now, this thing will never in a million years fall out. Okay, it's in there very, very strong, very tight, but it's very easy to get out because is what I've done is, let me turn it to the side. This lip right here, all you got to do is take one finger and pull that up just a little bit like that. See? You pull that up, she comes right out, no problem at all. So here's the best part about this. This striker, okay, it has a nice squared edge, so that way I can throw sparks, okay, with this versus the spine of my knife if I choose to. Now I also have the ability to throw sparks with a piece of flint if I find myself in that last desperate stage, which again, if you find yourself in that situation, you've already messed up and you're already in a lot of trouble. But at least you still have that ability if you need to. Now, if I take this and I drop this down in the snow and I pick it back up and I just take it and I slap it back in here and walk away for a couple hours, come back, pull it out, is it going to be corroded? Maybe a little bit of rust? Yeah, of course it is. But the best part about that is we can simply take, the part that's important with this is the striking area. Not the handle, not the sides, but the striking area. So I can take this and briskly rub it up against denim. I can run it up against, run it into sand. I can run it up against a rock just to remove the corrosion from right there. Then it's back to good. I can still throw sparks with a flint. I can still take it and throw sparks with my ferro rod. So that's the upside, is this doesn't necessarily matter as much if it gets rusted and corroded. Now I understand that the blade of your knife doesn't necessarily matter to a lot of people as well. For me, it doesn't matter if it gets a little bit corroded, but to some people it does, because some people like appearances of their knife, which is fine. It's your knife, treat it how you will. And then there's some people that have girlfriends or wives that when they're camping, they see us cutting up meat or cutting up some sort of food with a nice corroded blade, and they're turned off by that idea. Even though the blade is clean, it gives the appearance that it's dirty, even though we know that it's really not. So that's the other downside to that particular kind of steel. So with this concept, you've kind of got the best of both worlds. You've got your carbon attributes, and you've got your stainless attributes. That's kind of the best thing about this. Now, another thing about this particular sheath is the fact that I have two different rods on this thing. I have a ferro rod for obvious reasons, and I also have a ceramic rod, so that way after you use your knife you can hone it up very easily. So both of those features I believe are nice as well. So anyway, that's all I wanted to do, was come out here and explain this to you. Now is what I'm going to do is we're going to go inside to where it's a little bit darker, and we're going to demonstrate this particular steel striker, so that way you guys can see that yes, it throws sparks with a ferro rod, yes, it throws sparks with a flint and steel. So let's go do that. Alright, so let's take this striker and let's try it with this ferro rod and see what we got. I would say the 90-degree works just fine. So now, let's try it with flint and steel. Now the fact that it's a smaller steel it's not quite as easy to strike, but then again, this is more of a last resort type thing. Anyway, but she throws sparks just fine, and that's what's important. Alright, so here's the deal. Are you going to see me using this exclusively? Probably not. I designed this to give people options. It's one of those things where something like this is going to come in handy when the weather is extremely wet, just like it is today. I can achieve everything I want to achieve with this setup as I can a carbon knife. Of course, the flip side of that is everything that this can achieve, a carbon knife can achieve. Again, it's all about personal preference. If you prefer a carbon knife, then by all means stick with a personal knife. If you're somebody that doesn't want to have to deal with the corrosion issues and everything else along those lines, then this is simply nothing more than an option for you. This particular rig can be done with various different knives. I mean, maybe you want one of the new Gerber Prodigies, which are very nice. Or maybe you like the Mora Companion stainless steel. Or maybe a Fall Niven or something along them lines. It doesn't really matter. We can do this particular type of system with multiple knives, and I think it's a very good option for wet weather. Hence the reason I'm calling this the wet weather knife system. Alright, so there you go. Simple as that. If you guys are interested in getting your hands on one of these, just come to my website, wolfcustoms.com. You'll be able to find the prices and options of this there. So, that's all I got, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed it, and as always, have a good one.